In this episode, we're talking about profitability and buy here, pay here. There's a lot of misconceptions here about how profitable buy here, pay here is, and we're going to help clear those up in this episode of Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers.
Welcome to Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers. Prepare to learn something new about the industry that keeps us moving.
Check out all our podcast content on our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X.
Welcome back. It's been a while since we've done a buy here, pay here episode, and in this episode, we're going to talk about the one thing all buy here, pay here dealers need to know in order to structure good buy here, pay here deals. We're talking about profitability. And with this industry, there are a lot of misconceptions about how profitable buy here, pay here actually is. And in this case, we're going to be talking about that profitability on an individual deal basis. You need to understand your profitability on an individual deal basis in order to structure good buy here, pay here deals. So let's talk about just the superficial view. People look at buy here, pay here and think that our deals are incredibly profitable because we are selling our cars at retail prices higher than any other segment. And so for a car that we hypothetically own for $8,000, we might be selling it for a sale price of $15,000. The difference there appears to be $7,000 in profit. And that would be an incredible return on your money. But the reality is a lot more complicated. On average, we aren't collecting that full amount. We aren't making $7,000 in profit on a car that we're selling for $15,000 and own for $8,000. And that's because we expect to only collect on average a portion of that. Now, certainly in some cases, we're going to sell a car and that customer pays great all the way through payoff. And unfortunately, on the other side, we're going to have the occasional customer that skips on us immediately after we sell the car. So we sell that car, they drive it off the lot, and they never pay us another penny. Now, in between that is going to be your average expected credit loss. Understanding this number is absolutely essential to structuring good buy here, pay here deals. What is expected credit loss? Well, there's a few different ways to find it, but a simple formula is going to be your probability of default times your loss given default times your exposure at default. Most of this you're going to be able to find or infer from your charge-off report. Now let's look at how it works. We're going to keep that $15,000 sale price, and we're going to say that we get a down payment of $1,500 in. We're going to also say that our sales tax and title fees are $1,100. If we add and subtract that all out, that means that we have a $14,600 total amount financed. That's going to be our beginning principal balance on that note receivable. Now, of that $14,600, we know on average we are only going to collect a portion of that. So we're going to use an estimate of a 35% expected credit loss. Now, for some dealers, this is going to be right about spot on. There are going to be dealers that overperform this, and there are going to be dealers that underperform this. Knowing the expected credit loss rate for your dealership is absolutely essential. But we'll play with 35% for now. So if you take 35% away from $14,600, that leaves you a total collected of $9,490. Let's add our down payment of $1,500 back in. That means that we got a total revenue out of this deal of $10,990. So subtract your cost of the car, your sales tax and title fees from that, and your actual deal profit is only $1,890. This is a far cry from that false profit perception we were talking about at the beginning of $7,000. Now, how do you structure deals around this? In our dealership, we had 3 deal structure tests. And one of those tests was our adequate margin test. And that was using this calculation to make sure that we were making an expected deal profit of at least $1,000 by the time this deal was collected out on average. If we did this calculation and we were making less than $1,000, that failed the deal structure test. And we tried to structure a deal that got us to a green light there. If you aren't doing this calculation, you are potentially writing deals that are unprofitable. It is absolutely essential to do this math in order to structure good buy here, pay here deals. Make sure that you're looking at this when you're writing buy here, pay here dealers in your dealership, and you'll be on your track to a lot of success in buy here, pay here. And with that, it's been another episode of Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers.
Check out our podcast on all our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X.
Thank you for listening. Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers, is a production of Meta Financial Services Incorporated.